Tonight, I can report the sky is absolutely falling. We are all doomed. The end is near. The apocalypse is imminent, and you're going to all die. Or at least that's what the media mob would like you to think.
Get the out of here, man.
Simple question. Why is Joe Biden hiding from the media and the world? What is his campaign so afraid of?
Hillary, why is she hiding from the press? What's she afraid of?
The Biden family business, the syndicate, was churning a massive profit every step of the way. Selling access is what was going on.
Clearly, she sold access and profited from her office for the Clinton Foundation.
Some might call it influence peddling. I call it quid pro quo Joe.
Hillary, quid pro quo, certainly conflict of interest.
Biden is also adopting the radical left's war on police.
Hillary has embraced the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, what do we want, dead cops? When do we want them now?
I'm not a doctor, but I have observations. This is not just your occasional gaffe.
I'm not a doctor, but there's something going on here.
I don't know what's going on with Biden, but it's obvious that something is off. Very off.
There are moments when I'm literally watching her and I'm thinking, okay, the facial expressions are odd. They seem off.
America needs to now demand a full physical and cognitive assessment of Joe Biden.
This is a cognitive issue, a neurological issue.
Joe is quick to fly off the handle in fits of rage and irritability.
She admitted she collapsed not once, but a few times.
And he appeared flustered, irritated.
She keeps getting flustered, or the coughing fits.
Forgets the day of the week, forgets what office he's running for.
She couldn't even remember being briefed because of a concussion that she suffered. 2 brain aneurysm, a cerebral vascular collapse.
Eyes filled with blood.
Well, you hear about the blood clots.
Declining mental acuity and alertness.
Parkinson's, is that a possibility? MS a possibility?
Sean Hannity held a masterclass on how to flip the script, aka what about?
What about investigating their roles in Russia? Hillary Clinton's State Department, Eric Holder, signed off on the deal a year later. Bill Clinton makes a fortune, doubles his speaking fees, paid with a check from a bank that has a financial interest in Uranium One. The Fusion GPS, Hillary DNC, President Obama funded dossier.
Damn, Sean Hannity, look at you, you middle-aged white tiger. Wow! Obama, Clinton, and Uranium One GPS fusion. I feel like that's the closest Sean Hannity will ever come to a rap battle. For real, just give that man a hoodie and a parking garage, and he's going viral.
This is beyond incestuous. What about investigating their roles in Russia? Hillary Clinton's State Department, Eric Holder, signed off on the deal a year later. Bill Clinton makes a fortune, doubles his speaking fees, paid with a check from a bank that has a financial interest in Uranium One. America tonight is at a crisis point. Will we have equal justice under the law, or will America just be a banana republic?
Ticket, Sean Shady.
I think that the president deserves a lot of credit for being willing to talk to somebody that everybody thought would be a bad idea.
Now, is it just me, or does it look like President Obama is more willing to give his time to our enemies than our allies?
I see a lot of parallels between President Trump and Ronald Reagan.
Barack Obama, catering to the world's dictators, is literally the Neville Chamberlain of our time.
Certainly, there's no downside to what's happened here at all, only a win on every side as far as I'm concerned.
It's not wise. It's not in our best interest. We're dealing with the world's worst dictators, and we're showing a lot of weakness.
In a dangerous world, if you need protection, then you need Sean Hannity's Private Security Services. Sean Hannity is trained in kicking ass, throwing footballs indoors, and wearing his hat backwards. So when the crap hits the fan, Hannity's your man.
Do you want Sean Hannity, who's trained in the safety and use of a firearm in that room, so when they drop the clip and they start to reload, you got a shot, you got a chance?
If you're threatened by a shooter who is in the room and has run out of bullets, then you've got a chance. Sean Hannity's Private Security Services. Total protection in very specific circumstances.
It's cute that these two talk before bed every night. Yeah, they're like 8-year-old treehouse buddies with those cans on strings, you know, gossiping about which girls they secretly paid off, you know, or whether it's Yanni or Laurel. It's Laurel, by the way. But that feedback loop part is really weird for me, right? They're saying that President Trump says something outlandish to Hannity on the phone. Hannity then repeats it on TV, and then Trump watches that and goes, "You see, exactly, that's what I was saying!" Trump is like that gorilla getting riled up by what he's doing in the mirror. He's like, "You see what he did?" And here's my favorite part of this story. White House staff know that the calls happened thanks to the president entering a room and announcing, "I just hung up with Hannity," or even ringing Hannity up from his desk in their presence. How are you both the president and a star? How? Like, no other world leader does that, you realize it. Putin's never talking to his assistant like, "Not a big deal, but I was at party with actor who plays Sheldon on Big Bang. Yeah, Elon Musk and Grimes there too, just saying, yeah.
Danny Presti, he's the co-owner of the Staten Island bar, Max Public House. He was arrested for refusing to abide, they say, by New York's draconian coronavirus restrictions. Some people have an appetite, more risk than others. There's still freedom in this country. Curfews need to be enforced. Until now, they're not being enforced. We have curfews now in effect in many cities. Nobody's listening.
You can't take away everybody's freedom and expect it's all going to go smoothly. You can try to manage, human behavior, but people are on the edge, Sean. Excusing criminal behavior as somehow justified when it's carried out in response to police brutality or any other abuse only ends up making a bad situation worse.
Governor Cuomo, one of his comments was, he's a Mr. Tough Guy, sarcastically. He drives his car into a police officer. It's disgusting, and he's a coward. I'm not sure what gets accomplished when you just beat up on officers.
Seems like if you stick your neck out, you're one of the few, and you object to this lockdown, they ruin you. How do you stop the rioting if the rioters are arrested but not charged and set free? How do you do that? Dearie me.
Police say Presti hit one of the deputies with the car, but it kind of looks like he jumped on it and was trying to go away. The way I saw you pulling away, you're trying to say, "Get out of the way," and you're going slow to start. So obviously you're scared here too. Our police officers are under attack. There is absolutely no reason, no excuse that this continues to take place.
Democrats are being sore losers. They refuse to acknowledge they lost the election, so what do? They cry malfeasance, wrongdoing, criminality, fraud.
Democrats, more so than Republicans, seem to have a problem conceding defeat. Either the election system broke down or some mystery votes are hiding somewhere.
You have a whole series of Democrats who've just said bluntly, if our candidate doesn't win, they stole the election.
The Dems just want to make America suffer. It's like losing the World Series and demanding an extra inning a day later.
The Democrats are refusing to accept the declared results of the national media. So how do they do this? Lo and behold, they find missing ballots.
The radical left is attacking the sanctity of our votes,
refusing to accept the midterm election results. So what if these were Republicans refusing to concede?
Democrats may see how they'll be able in the future to steal elections through lawsuits that they can't win with the voters.
Ramping up election conspiracy theories, accusing Republicans of outright stealing the election. Kind of rich. You know what? Sounds sore loserish.
Even though yesterday might have sucked for Hannity, it helped his ratings because everyone tuned in to see what creative excuse he'd come up with to explain his Michael Cohen relationship. And the answer was, it's complicated.
Let me set the record straight. Here's the truth. Michael Cohen never represented me in any legal matter. I never retained his services. I never received an invoice. I never paid Michael Cohen for legal fees. I did have occasional brief conversations with Michael Cohen. He's a great attorney about legal questions I had, or I was looking for input and perspective.
He wasn't your lawyer, he just answered your legal questions? How do you not know the definition of lawyer when your head is shaped like a dictionary? How do you not know this? Seriously, giving legal inputs and perspective is exactly what a lawyer does. Hannity might as well have come out and said, he was just my lawyer, but just a tip, guys, just a tip. Now, what people are really wondering is this. Whatever legal advice was, why didn't Hannity get it from his regular attorney, right? Instead of turning to a guy who's specifically known for paying off mistresses. Why did he go to him? But according to Hannity, baby, this is not what it looks like.
To be absolutely clear, they never involved any matter, sorry to disappoint so many, matter between me or third party, a third group at all. And my questions exclusively almost focused on real estate.
Wow, he really slipped in the almost. Did you hear it? Yeah, it was super quick. He was like, all my questions to Michael Cohen were exclusively almost real estate. Exclusively almost. Exclusively almost. Yeah, he sounds like the voice at the end of those medical ads. Zernax is exclusively almost side effect free. Exclusively almost. You can't say exclusively almost. Exclusively almost is the kind of phrase that makes people ask more questions. If someone tells you that they exclusively almost have sex with adults, you're not hiring them to babysit your kids. That's not what you're thinking of right now. But okay, fine. Hannity claims he was just getting some informal real estate advice from Michael Cohen, which makes what he said a few hours earlier on his radio show all the more confusing.
I never gave him a retainer, never received an invoice, never paid any fees. You know, I might have handed him $10. I definitely want you attorney-client privilege on this, something like that.
Okay, whoa, no, okay, wait. So he's not your lawyer. All you had was a few chit-chats about real estate, but you definitely want attorney-client privilege. Yeah, you definitely want that. What the did you bury under that house? No, I'm just saying, I've had a lot of conversations about real estate. At the end of it, I never went, this never happened. And you know what gets me is how casually Hannity is trying to minimize his connection to Michael Cohen, like it means nothing. Especially when every other day of the year, he's the guy who can bake a conspiracy cake out of nothing more than an egg and the word Hillary.
Let's talk about a family responsible for actual crimes. We'll call it the head of the notorious political cabal. Of course, Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Clinton crime family. If we're going to go to crime families, let's look at the Mueller crime family. And, well, this is near and dear to Comey's heart. We'll call it the Comey crime family.
I like how Hannity puts a question mark at the end of each one just to cover his ass. He's like, I didn't say Mueller runs a crime family. I just said Mueller runs a crime family. Well, you know what, folks? I have a theory of my own. And I honestly think that it's going to bust this whole Hannity-Michael Cohen story wide open. Get ready to have your minds blown. Because I believe I've uncovered a complex criminal network. My theory is that Sean Hannity is a client of Michael Cohen. Look, we may never know the true nature of Hannity and Cohen's relationship, but what we do know is that as someone is discussing Cohen and his case on the air, Hannity should have been more transparent, right? He should have said something about it. In fact, what Hannity did was so shady. Even when he tried to talk about other things on his show, his own guests had to call him out. And please, do enjoy.
A foreign national using Russian sources of all things to get it. Is that a crime in Alan Dershowitz's book?
Well, first of all, Sean, I do want to say that I really think that you should have disclosed your relationship with Cohen when you talked about him on this show. I think it would have been much, much better had you disclosed that relationship. You were in a difficult situation,
If you understand the nature of it, Professor, I'm going to deal with this later in the show.
I understand.
It was minimal. I put out a statement about it.
You should have said that, and that would have been fair to say that it was minimal.
That's fine.
You had the right, by the way, not to have your identity
I have the right to
revealed.
privacy.
Right.
I do.
But, you know, it's a complex situation when you're speaking to millions of people.
Professor, it was such a minor relationship in terms of...
You should have said that.
You should have said that. You should have said that. You should have said that. That was priceless. And keep in mind, this guy, Alan Dershowitz, he isn't a hater, right? He's been a vocal defender of President Trump and a frequent guest on Hannity's show. Like, that's how you know that this is bad for Hannity. He's getting called out by someone on his own team. You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of that one deleted scene from Star Wars when the stormtroopers called out their boss.
Now we can finally destroy the rebels.
Sir, real quick. We all think you should have disclosed your relationship with Luke Skywalker.
What? I barely know the guy. He's not even my son. It's more like a baby mama thing.
Sir, you should have told us.
This isn't a big deal. I have a right to privacy.
If it wasn't a big deal, why didn't he tell us? What a dick.
Yeah, it's true. That scene was exclusively almost from Star Wars.